What if your past wasn't a limitation, but the starting point of your purpose? Hi, friends. I'm Brianna Goodwin, and welcome to the Cycle Changer series. You know, this series has been on my heart for a long time. And for years, I've talked about being a cycle changer, which to me is someone who grows in confidence, mindset, relationships, leadership, and faith. Also, the next generation experiences something different, something better. And I realized it's not just my story. There's so many women quietly doing the brave work of healing, raising their deserve levels, breaking patterns, and rewriting what's possible for their families and their future. This series is about giving those women a voice. So if you love real conversations, powerful mindset shifts, growth, and are in need of some inspiration, then you're in the right place. But make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode like this, and like this video, and drop a comment loving on these incredible women you're about to hear from. Because when women support women, cycles change. Wow. We are back to our second episode ever of the Cycle Changers series. And I couldn't have thought of anyone better to do it than my dear friend, Maria Evans. And before we get into knowing a little bit of how we know each other, you know, I just like to remind everybody at the beginning of this of the intention of why this was really created. And this was just something that was put on my heart of January of 2026 of how am I going to take this verbiage that I've used for 14 years of being a cycle changer and allow it to impact women, of hearing women's real stories in a greater way. And so, you know, when I think of Maria, when I think of being a cycle changer, this is truly someone who decided to get out of her comfort zone, of really changing the dynamic. We were just kind of chatting, and I'm excited to dive into it, to give you a clip in the beginning of truly being the first woman in her family of her generation to actually change the cycle, and how it is so unexpected that it came from this. And so, you know, I'm just so excited for you, because my intention for this series is to not just be like, I don't know, like really, I want it to be so deep. So I've been choosing people in this that are like, I'm willing to share my guts. And Maria is a transparent, get into it, let's be raw, let me tell you my life, and let's see how it can help some women. So with that, I was asking Maria, how long have we known each other? And we have traced it back to 2020. So Maria Evans, let's say hello to everybody. And maybe you want to tell everybody kind of like how we met, because you're just so fun when you explain it. And I apparently have no memory of that time in my life.
Well, and I'm so glad we did meet, you guys. Brie is amazing, and she has been saying the term cycle changer, and so we are going to dig in today. And really, I met Brie through a mutual friend. A best friend of mine was like, you have got to know this woman. She is transparent, fun, amazing. She could write a lifetime storybook movie, 3000, because of all the things she's been through, and an overcomer and an achiever. Like, you want to be in her space. And so luckily, our mutual friend connected us, and it was at a critical time, 2020, which I think we can all remember back to that. And Brie gave me incredible advice that really changed the trajectory of my business in that season.
That, you know, I forgot that I even gave any advice, because I feel like I met you at a critical time in my life. I mean, COVID was happening and our businesses were changing, and I had some strategy with that. But what people didn't know behind the scenes, and this is not to be about me, but I'm so unbelievably grateful for you, is that my marriage was really deeply falling apart at that time. And so I believe that people come into your life at a certain season that deeply understand, not necessarily the marriage stuff, but she understood, as you'll get to hear more of the past of where we came from and just how the brain works. And when you want to have someone in your corner who is breathing belief into you and who is like affirming you and checking in on you and literally expects nothing back when you're in a part of that life, that's truly where like some of my best pieces of this business have come out, is that community that literally saved me in a time where she's like saying, thank you for helping with my business. I'm like, well, thank you for not letting me lose it when like everything was going down in a trash bag. So anyways, I want to give the audience a picture, like what season, when were you prior to Mary Kay or about to come into it? If you could kind of give us a picture of your life, your background. I know we're going to get into it probably a lot deeper through the rest of these questions, but if you could kind of give us a snippet. I mean, how long has this been since you started, and then kind of giving a picture before that?
Sure. So I started 16 years ago, which I did not do the math, but it's in the, I can figure that out. But I was in a transition period in my life. I was newly engaged and I had fallen in love when I was in the Peace Corps. And so I fell in love with someone in my community. And so they were native to Nicaragua. So family members and friends were not super supportive or excited for me at that time. Felt like a really wild decision. Okay. So I was in this, like, I'm going to fight and figure this out. I know this is my person that I'm also going to be doing immigration paperwork and bringing into the United States of America. Okay. So newly engaged with some interesting dynamics. Okay. Also, I graduated college with a degree, Bachelor of Science in animals and horses. You could major in equestrian studies, and then 2.5 years in a third world country. So I was no makeup, rough on the outside, rough on the inside, because I was determined to find my fight and fight for the love of my life against everyone's advice. So that's really where I was when I came in and got exposed to the company.
Wow. Okay. So if you were to even go a little teeny bit more backwards, if we could have an idea of your life, like, I'm sure I have never met anyone else in my life who's been in the Peace Corps but you, surprisingly. So I mean, what even got you to go there in the first place, and what did some of your upbringing look like? I think it's important to kind of have a picture. And again, I know we'll get into this a little bit deeper, but if we could have like a little snapshot of more of like what's Maria's background looks like, what would that look like?
Yes. So prior to the Peace Corps, so I grew up in a family with very interesting dynamics. My dad was a very high-powered, driven attorney who was providing for us, and my mom had started drinking. She also had a law degree, but she had started drinking when I was 4 or 5, and it really started going downhill, by the time when I was little. So I remember coming home to a mom that was passed out on a couch and not there, physically, mentally available for us. And that really led to a slippery slope of her losing her law degree, making a bunch of poor decisions. So really a lot of dysfunction at home. High responsibility for myself and my brothers. I have 3 brothers and was primarily raised by my dad. So I was a hardcore tomboy. Used to joke that I could throw a spiral football better than most men. I still got that skill. Okay, I mowed lawns. I could change the oil in my truck. Loved horses. Horses was my escape. I was not home. I didn't want to be at home. I went to the horse barn. High independence. Okay, my parents, oh, go ahead. You got it. Okay,
No,
my parents wanted me to be an attorney. My dad was like, law degree. He knew that was a successful career. So he was instilling, you go to college, you get a law degree, it will set you up for success.
Something I can actually honestly really relate with. It's very interesting to have family who has addiction issues and is in the thick of it, but on the outside, because your dad was holding it together, there's almost like that white picket fence mentality that no one actually knows the internal struggle that's going on inside the home. And when you just said the responsibility to also be the child who goes, everything's a mess, but I'm going to make sure it looks all okay, or take care of everyone around me.
Absolutely. And that comes out in achieving high in school. I was strong in sports. I wanted, on the outside, it looked like, oh, she's getting straight A's and she's very strong in sports performance. There was a little pressure there too. Well, it felt like it, but that level of responsibility for sure. And then you come into the closed, you come home and there's spaghetti on the ceiling because mom tried to make dinner, and I would braid her hair just so that I guess she looked better while she was passed out. So it was a hot mess express inside.
Yeah. So I guess to now take that dynamic of seeing really what's going on for you, when we go back there, then the question I have is, what beliefs did you have about yourself back then when it came to things like confidence, or I don't even know if having your own business was on your mind, or leadership, or money, or self-esteem? Like, what, if we were to go back to what that looked like for you for there, it almost sounds like you were a really high achiever, but like kind of confused on the inside of what was going on.
For sure.
So we normally would say high confidence, low self-esteem, but I don't know if that was the
Yeah.
case. Like, you tell me what that
Well,
looked
I think
like.
anger shows itself in interesting ways because I would foul out of every basketball game, but I wanted to win. I was very assertive and aggressive, and I think it came out in sports. But deep down, I had lost my faith. I decided that I wasn't going to believe anymore. It was really broken, and deserve level really low, and also self worth really low. Didn't feel worthy of, I mean, when later in my life, when I realized I needed to change my mindset to be successful and to receive abundance, I had to really dig deep and say, hey, I'm worthy. But at the time, no. I came across intense, Maria, aggressive, assertive, very proud to be a
Hard shell.
tomboy. Like, I'll watch out, I'll train that horse, I'll win the basketball game, I'll get an A. But inside, sad sauce.
Mm. Okay. So that's all happening your whole life. You go into the Peace Corps.
Mhm.
What brought you
The
to the Peace
straight
Corps?
rebellion. I just
Okay.
my dad really, I think so highly of attorneys, and it's such a great career, and it provided so great for him. And he saw something in me that thought, Maria, like, when in doubt, go to law school or go be a veterinarian. I had finished college. Well, I was in my senior year finishing college, and I met someone on a bus. And you guys, when things come across your path, it just was the right timing. And she said, what are you doing? Going to grad school, master's degree? We're all talking about going to your next PhD. What are you doing? And I just didn't know. And she shared with me about the Peace Corps. I went home and I looked it up, and I just thought, this is for me. 2.5 years abroad, get some volunteer experience. I thought I could go figure out what I wanted to do, because I knew I didn't feel that I was cut out to be an attorney.
Okay. So it sounds like you're unclear. You're trying to also get away from the chaos. You also don't want to be under this perfectionism of what's expected of you in the family on like one side of it, but also like kind of just like, who am I? What do I want? Land in the Peace Corps. Did you know Spanish before going there, or did you learn it there?
When you decide to sign up for the Peace Corps, they require you to take a full year of the language at the college. So you have to have, I had the horse experience for agriculture, and then luckily it was my junior year. So they required a full year of Spanish in college. So I took my senior year of college Spanish classes. It did not help. Full immersion. Because I knew how to get a straight A by memorizing and going through the motions. I wasn't processing the language. I was also,
Okay. And I'm sure even the dialect there is different too, like once you're actually there, of like
in my
locals.
defense, I was in neurophysiobiology for my degree, which was a lot heavier load. I was with the medical kids, like the med students. So I just was like, memorize Spanish, blah, blah.
How old were you then?
19? No. 8, you graduate high school at what age? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? 21, 22.
Okay. How old were you in Nicaragua?
22 to 24.
Okay. So you now meet the love of your life.
And I did not go there to do this. So I was very resistant. And there he was, Erwin, my Latin lover. Yeah. So unexpected twist.
And then you come back. Obviously, that's a whole story that could be in itself, of getting him to come to the States and then introducing to your family, and you're marrying this man and they're freaking out because they have a picture of what your life should look like and all these things. And so what space, now age, is Mary Kay being presented into your life?
I'm now 24 or 25 years old.
So this is crisp. We are back. You're engaged, and it's immediately being introduced when there's so many other things.
Well, now I'm like,
going
oh,
on.
I like graduated from college. It's like career time. Like I need to get my independence. I got to get it together. I need money. I cannot be living at home. The Peace Corps gives you a small like resettlement stipend, which is not enough. So I was just like, I'm applying to jobs. I need to get my career. Like I got to figure out like money.
What?
Yeah, I need money.
Yeah. Tell us kind of how you got exposed to it, but then I would love to know like why you even said
we
yes.
have to give the credit to the bonus mom. Okay. So after my parents divorced, Donna comes into the picture. She's also in the legal field, people. I just can't get away from it. She's a court reporter, but owned her own business. Donna had been walking and been friends with an executive Mary Kay director. Okay. And so I got back with rough skin because already rough on the inside, you guys, the outside. And Donna goes, Maria, I'm going to take you over and just get you loaded with the product. Okay. I did not like the color pink. I was almost offended that all the products were this beautiful color pink. Okay. Donna takes me, I try the product and she goes, we'll take 1 or 2 of everything, give her the whole bag. So I'm walking, and Donna lives around the corner from me. So I'm walking home with this roll-up bag. It's almost worth my entire Peace Corps salary, which was $145 a month is what I lived off of. My deserve level is so low because I've come from now living in complete poverty to like more than my month's saving in these roll-up bag. And I said, I better use this product just out of guilt. So I'm microderming my face. I am doing the steps and it is working. Okay. It is working. This was so rough. Okay. And then I needed money. And well, there was a flyer on our kitchen table. I didn't like it. I redid it. I have a little creative juice. I marched over there. What was I thinking? I knocked on her door. This is a very successful pink Cadillac driving 500,000 unit club woman. I'm knocking on her door. Hey girl, like I thought you could use some help with your flyer. She goes,
I hate it.
I could use help in my office. She saw the opportunity. She wasn't offended. She said, hey, come and work in my office. That's when I saw the plaques on the wall. I was behind the scenes watching the income. Then slow burn, she invited me to come help at a party. I didn't own a dress. She said I needed to wear a dress. That was almost a game changer. I drove to this like Steinmart. I wish I had the dress. It just was so ugly, but I just bought like the longest, craziest dress. I was a little annoyed that it costs money. Like I'm like this $20, $30 I'm buying this dress. am I even making money? But then I watched her. She was saying, oh, we make half. I heard her talking about I was listening with this dress on thinking I'm losing money. Then I realized how much she put in her pocket. And that was it for me.
So your brain went logical. Your brain went, I need money. I can't depend on my parents because they don't really necessarily approve of my new foreign husband yet. So I got to be independent financially. I could make more money doing this. So you like, how did that work then? Like you saw that and then asked her to sign up?
I showed up on the doorstep the next day for work to like process the sales slips and was like, no, I'm on the other side now. I just said, I'd like to do this as a business. I just saw what she was doing and it logically just made sense. It's that saying too dumb to doubt. You guys, if I really thought that I'd be teaching beauty industry, if I overthought it, it would have been a no. But I had seen it work.
But you're an activator.
I am an activator.
You are an activator. And for those of you who don't know what an activator means, it's like somebody who makes decisions quickly and something comes up and you're like, yep, that's what I'm going to do. And they implement it right away. And sometimes it can be wild and sometimes it can be like, yay, we put that into motion. And so you did, because I think right there, it's like you made this decision, put me on the other side, but then was there like a backlash? Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Did I make the right decision? Like what happened?
I was riding on sheer excitement because I had seen it work. I remember this so clearly. I walked back into my parents' house and was like, woo, I'm going to be a Mary Kay beauty consultant. I mean, I thought they must have almost fallen out of their chair at the kitchen table because they were probably thinking, oh snap, like Maria's going to be a beauty consultant. At that point, I was just so on sheer enthusiasm because I got a glimpse of what this could be. But yes, days later, all the paperwork had come through for my husband. And I remember making a decision about starting with product on the way to the airport. I was going down to fly down to get Irwin. There was a time when I got back and there was like reality check. I thought, well, who am I even going to talk to? All my circle thinks hardcore tomboy Maria, rough and rugged Maria, horse trainer Maria, agriculture degree Maria, Peace Corps Maria is, I get a lot of prejudgments on the Peace Corps because I wasn't a hardcore environmentalist. I wanted the 2 years experience on my resume and I wanted to learn Spanish. And they told me I could get a horse. So you got, that's exactly
like,
the activator. It's like, this is for me.
Yeah. So, okay. So you make this decision because isn't it interesting? Like emotion moves us as people. You're highly excited. You're like, this is the right thing to do. And then all of a sudden people want to come in and pop that bubble and create doubt. And it would be very easy to have listened or to have even fed into your own doubt and been like, okay, well, I signed up maybe that this isn't for me. Because if we really look at the layers, and I think that this is important because so many people sit in the indecision. So many people sit in the fear of what other people think. So many people start to question themselves and be like, maybe this really isn't for me. And they spend so much time and energy in that. And you had a lot of stuff. So like what was kind of going through your head? And so I think it's good to air it out because it's okay. That's a real emotion. That's okay to have, right? So what pressure were you feeling from your parents? What pressure were you feeling about yourself? What were you thinking that people were going to think about you?
It was very hard. I felt very alone in this season, which is hard when you're making a decision that you know is right. Okay. Luckily, the Mary Kay world was already supporting me and I was learning things to help navigate this because this is the same parallel with my husband. I remember my parents sitting me down, it's my bonus mom, Donna and my dad sitting me down and being like, this could be a really bad decision. Really think this through. And I knew in my heart he was for me, okay? Even though it felt like an uphill battle. That's the same thing with the Mary Kay decision. Being in the environment and the culture and getting introduced to it, there was something that I just felt that I knew that it was right. And somebody gave me advice. I'm the one that's going to be home with Irwin. I'm the one that's going to the Mary Kay meetings and making the friends and learning the growth. They're looking at it from an outside perspective. They weren't in Nicaragua walking down the streets, falling in love with this person and realizing who he was. They're not at the unit meeting feeling what I felt, the positivity, the culture, the connection, the being loved for just who I am. There's a depth to Mary Kay that people on the outside don't understand until you cross over or you've come to enough events or you've listened long enough to be drawn into maybe these are your people. So I just had to get to a place of like, I know and I need to trust. For me, it's my life. They're not making decisions for me, even though they're coming from a place. I'm a mom now. Like I understand their side, that they thought they were protecting me from the unknown because it was out of their comfort zone. It's their unknown. But I'm sorry, I need to trust and I had self-trust issues. But those things, I knew that Irwin was my person and I knew that I wanted to be part of this business from a feeling.
And your dad, it seems like, and bonus mom were also very conventional thinkers in what was made successful, right? Like, why would you do that and waste all this education? I mean, what did that look like of your dad's? Because let's also give a picture. Her dad is a highly successful attorney, highly successful after that later judge. Okay. So the expectation, and he's a man. I mean, I've met him. He's amazing, but he's a man who has like standards. Okay. Which is great. He's like, what? So like the pressure you're feeling from your healthy parent right now of, am I disappointing him with this decision? Like
Right,
what was
is this just
happening
as
there?
honorable of a career path as going and getting a PhD or becoming an attorney? Because that was my picture of cookie cutter success, was that you get a degree and you make six figures, an additional degree, right? And so I was definitely questioning, what are people thinking? And can I do this? Luckily, I was exposed to the top women in this company. My national, Stacey James, was an inner circle national. So the level of excellence that I was exposed to made me realize, whoa. And also, you uncover and realize there's plenty of women with a PhD or attorneys that are working this business, because the culture and the environment is not something that they're exposed to. So at the time, I just had to go with, hey, this is my life and I'm going to give it a try. There's something here. It's worth checking out.
So what was your picture of what you wanted out of it at first? Because it seemed like it was just at first a decision, I need cash. What did that look like financially? What was just your small vision? And when did that transition of like, wait a second, I think I want to do more?
So the money, I definitely had a need for money. I also heard, when I was at that party in that ugly dress, I heard Maria sharing freedom and flexibility, be your own boss, no ceiling. And I thought, well, that sounds great. Like, you don't have to wait to get promoted, freedom to weave this in your life. And then I'd seen the money transaction. At the time, I was such a small thinker. I just thought $200 extra would make a difference. I mean, I'm going to now be supporting another person as we get up and running in America who does not speak English and did not finish school. Okay. So I'm thinking I gotta have some hustle here for the money piece of it.
So it was just like I just need to make some quick cash to supplement this transition. That's all it was. I mean, only 200 extra a month is not a whole lot, not a big time commitment. It was a very small visual of what was available. So then if you took that and you kind of could take yourself back, and I'm sure, I mean, even for myself, there's been many moments where it's transitioned even bigger and bigger. But what took you from, I just want to make a little bit of extra money with selling, to, was I meant to like do this as a career?
Okay, so there was a defining moment, was the first appointment I did. My director did it with me and we tripled what my expectation. So that was like, oh, whoa, I just made way more than I even expected. So it was a great week, because Bonus Mom had all these law friends and they all came over and supported the business. So I did have that early onset win. There was plenty of times when there weren't wins, but it was a slow burn, as that soon I got exposed to a different level of thinking and my mindset changed, because then I started opening up, like, I could earn more with this. I could match. At the time, I did get a full-time job at a business college. And so I was getting exposed to like what it's working in an office and being on a set income, and then having this on the side, building it. Then I went to an event and I saw the big picture of, I saw women with plaques, salaries that these women are making, and they are polished and pumped up. I mean, they're all different shapes and sizes, but they're in a powerful position with a microphone. And so that growth mindset opened my brain up to, hey, I could really build something here.
Something that I love about Maria and that we have in common is that we really love having freedom and flexibility. And so her brain was going off of like, I get to choose. No one can limit me on what I'm allowed to do. And then you get there and you're like, this is way more possible than I ever even imagined.
Yes.
So what skills, you know, we go back to the beginning where you're saying, I'm angry, I'm broken, I have no faith, I'm not worthy. How do we start shifting those things?
A lot to learn, and luckily the culture of our company just embraced who I was and slowly built me up over time, because I was showing up to the trainings, I was taking in the information. But some of the tangible things I did not learn in college was time management, like how to run your life and figure it out. And then also emotional management. There was so much self-discovery that I was figuring out, who is Maria, the real Maria Evans, if I was in this positive environment and could just be me for my gifts. That was the mental mindset, the growth skills of just, okay, I got to make a phone call. I was so shy. Making a phone call felt scary, but being coached and in this environment where you are learning how to think differently and exposed to different thoughts. And then comes the art of affirmation. Someone was building me up and saying, Maria, I see this in you. I believe in you. And then I realized like I could learn that skill and transfer that to other people. That was nothing I learned in college. It's nothing I learned in the Peace Corps. Like I learned this being in the entrepreneurial setting and the culture of Mary Kay. Then comes the faith piece, you guys. Our company is faith first, family second, career third. I was not living my life in that order. So the self-worth and the deserving part came from me deciding to be a believer again. And that happened at a Mary Kay event because it was a safe space where I could drop all the baggage from my mom and decide to believe again. And so that's another internal thing that I will forever be grateful for, because that hardened, aggressive, fell out of basketball games Maria became a soft, ushy-gushy soul of saying, I have a purpose and God designed me and gave me gifts and I can share those with other people, and that our business is a vehicle to do that because we make connections. We talk to women. We're at a table, we're over the Zoom, we're making those connections.
Whoa. I just was like almost imagining, again, I relate with your story so much of like the lack of trust for feminine energy because of what you grew up with, and the disappointment of not having that nurturing mom, and then imagining you of in this like aggressive, very masculine energy, and thinking no one wants to stay there. It may be a protection. It may feel safer of what you were choosing at that time, but the courage to put yourself in an environment and allow that space to go, I'm going to become back into my feminine faith, caring, helping, vulnerable energy. I know that those are sometimes things that people are like, I'm afraid of that. You may be afraid of it because you haven't had a healthy version of it, but it's something I believe we deeply crave. And when we have that, it allows us to like flourish. And it's watching you even explain that and the emotion you can like see in your eyes. Who would you have been emotionally if you stayed that person before without
and
that self-worth transformation?
Emotionally void. Like I wasn't even in touch with my emotions because it was so hard to feel the loss of not having a present mom and that softness. And coming from a perspective of I want male best friends, I relate to men, I want to play on the boys soccer. I mean, my dad put me on the boys soccer team. Okay, I was one of the boys and didn't have a positive vibe or feeling about women until I saw, wow, these women believe in each other. They're breathing belief into each other. They're going to take me and go get a better dress than that one I bought. Okay. They're going to take me bra shopping. They're going to teach me to love on the outside and the inside, and how to put on the mascara and get my ears pierced. And there's this femininity side of Mary Kay that is like this motherhood embrace, like that's been a tremendous gift. And it was a void in my life that I need.
I was literally just thinking the word gift because it's like, I imagine your mom didn't take you to do all those things, right? No. And so what a gift of being like, I can have somebody take the time and invest in me. And here's the interesting part. Women who probably weren't even connected to you and your team sometimes, that still were giving of their time to invest in you. That's, I think, the wild thing about our community is it's not like, well, I'm just doing this because it makes me money. The amount of people that have helped me, and I'm sure that have helped you, that are not even financially connected to us in any way, but are just mission driven to just want to love on people. What have been, before we go into some huge changes you've been able to make in the cycle of your family because of this, what about the the tangible wins? Like, what success
Well,
have you
earning
had
the first
from this?
car, I mean, from adding your first team member, like everything is a layer. It even was a success to do my own presentation on my own without somebody there. And all of those things were layers of confidence that I didn't realize was happening, and leading up to later being able to be handed a microphone and having the confidence and the ability, even right now, just to be able to speak with conviction and clarity. It's from doing the work. But it's been very fun to earn diamond rings and be recognized on a stage, and to get plaques for leading a unit to 350. The car was a big one too, of our sitting in a vehicle and realizing, wow, I don't feel nauseous on the car lot because I don't have to negotiate a deal for a new car. I am sitting here and the guy just handed me the keys and I get to drive this home, and I have paid nothing. Like, this is a prize that I've earned. I mean, just the smell of a brand new car and it being mine. I had driven a beat up, it was a Mercedes, but it was a 1984 blue stick shift Mercedes Benz. You could not get that sucker up to 30 miles. I took a long time, and it was stick and you would stall, to a brand new car from working this business, and to epic moments of getting to travel and sit at the feet of the top women, to moments with friends of just really connecting and have a circle of women that believe in you, and staying late up nights and sleepovers, like so many little things and big tangible things, like the gifts, and just the paycheck, like getting a big paycheck and being like, whoa, I created this from home and it's just being deposited into my account. Leaving my job, I left my corporate position, sitting at home nursing a baby and realizing I don't have to drive to a cubicle. I get to just be here in what Brie calls milk gel. But that connection time of the choice to get to nurse, I'm nursing a baby now, like getting to nurse a baby from home.
People don't put enough emphasis on that. I think we kind of skim through that pretty fast. And I have two friends right now, very close friends of mine, you and another friend of mine, who are in the milk jail. I have nothing wrong. I was in milk jail. I appreciate it. But when you're freedom and flexibility, and we all three are, and you just know your life and your body are not yours during that time, and it's a beautiful thing. But how many women can't do that? Lose their milk, lose the time, lose the bond, because they have to leave their baby with someone else and they have to go into work. I would much rather be able to feed my baby from home than have to go into some bathroom stall and pump for 20 minutes on my break. Like really getting the picture of those moments of how I believe women were designed to be with their children and not have to forsake that or sacrifice that, you know? So she's on her third right now, people that she's nursing. So like, I mean, that's a journey. So, okay. So
7 cars.
How many cars, by the way, have you
driving
earned?
a company car?
7. Okay. And to put that into perspective, to not have to have paid a car payment in 14 years, that is a huge financial piece that comes into your life. I always tell people your rent or your mortgage and then your car payment are normally those two things that are just taking chunks out. And so for you to not have to even, that's not even in your realm of worrying about a car. It becomes this
You're so
weird
used
thing
to it after. By the third car, you're just like, oh yeah, I just go and it's brand new. Yep, the mileage is 0. The tank is full.
Go get me a new one. Like my son has oh mom, we got to clean out your old one so we can turn in the new one. What do you need me to do so we can do the swap? So, okay. So there's been huge tangible success. So again, this is about the Cycle Changers series. And so for you, how has this journey now affected you in your marriage, or you as the mom that you are, or the woman you are in your community? Anything that sticks out to you that you're like, whoa, because of this skill, this has changed how 100%. I am in this
And what I do want to tell women is that when you change, we control the environment in our homes, our energy. And so it is so cool. I remember early days, my husband writing a goal, and he comes from very humble, you guys. They don't have hot water, okay? But a lot of the women are washing their clothes on a rock.
You just got back.
River, okay? He wrote promotion to team leader on my whiteboard for him in his, at the time he was working for a solar company. So I was watching what I was building. He's now an entrepreneur, but I was watching, I didn't even realize that he was watching me work and design something and setting goals up on the board for himself. And so in COVID, my husband walked away from his job and he now has his own business. But I believe that he's watched what I've done in Mary Kay, the children. This is a soft spot, ladies, because I learned the art of affirmation in Mary Kay, and it's one of the most amazing gifts that I could pass on, which is looking into my children and telling them how wonderful they are for who they are and that I believe in them, and being present for those moments. And it's an incredible gift when you are in an environment that is enriching and empowering women and your bucket is filled, it overflows to your family. That is something a dollar bill cannot do. It's an energy at your home. It's an atmosphere of being able to have a loving environment that fosters creativity for who they are and loving people where they're at. I also think it's great for a kid to see their mom have ambition and get a goal up on the refrigerator, and that you have dreams and goals and things that God has put on your heart that I believe are designed for you. And that for your kids to see that, your husband, your family, your friends, that when you change, and it will change the dynamics in your home. There's a hope there, a hope that you can, whatever it's you're wanting, your dream wedding dress, to a trip to Disney, to designing an area in your backyard, to a shopping spree, whatever that is, that changes your home.
Do you remember, I don't know if I would ask anyone else this, but like, do you remember your mom ever affirming you? So this is not something that you learned by any means in your home. And so this right here is what I deem as being such a deep cycle changer, because you did not have an example of that. You actually had the opposite probably of that, because we haven't even gone into knowing what she could have been like during times where maybe she was really out of it, and how ugly that could have been, right? It's not like you haven't had to stop dealing with it as a kid. This has been something, as we've known each other, that is a continual thing in your life. So your kids are growing up dramatically different than you
And
did.
it's a very sad reality
emotionally,
because my mom was homeless for a long time. Luckily, right now she's in an independent living home because she's elderly and willing to stay there. But there's so many times I walked away from watching her living under a tree, and it was just her deserve level at that point, and from the disease of alcoholism. Like, she is an alcoholic. It's been 30, 40 years of her drinking. But her self-worth and deserve level was so low that it's so sad when you are in that place. And I mean, I hope one day she'll get out of it, but to be able to then walk back into my environment and say, I'm going to do things differently with these kids. We're going to make different decisions, and they're going to have that self-worth and that self-confidence too, in changing it in the home environment.
And imagine how, I always say it's like the turnaround time. So like, you figured it out because you were strong and you got exposed to this, but like, how much faster are those girls going to figure it out because they had that environment of you doing that, and that love and that safety? And I think that so many women hold back from doing something like this because I call it inappropriate guilt of being a mom, thinking that this is going to take time away from their children or whatever. Like, what would you say to that?
I'm going to be very bold here, ladies, and just be like, you were telling yourself a lie. Because when you get better, everybody gets better. There's a saying that Craig Rochelle says, when the leader gets better, everybody gets better. And saying yes to this business, you will get better if you take a chance on yourself. And I also think it's a disservice to our children that if you have ambition and you feel called to do more, that you're choosing to sit and settle instead of pursuing. There is an energy when you are in pursuit of something that your children can feel a goal, an ambition, something that you're going after. And that is also an incredible gift to give your family.
And this is creating an environment where they believe that they can have ambition, they can go after goals, that they can be able to have support and go after a dream that may not make sense to anyone. And so I always tell the moms, would you speak to your child of all the things you're holding yourself back on? Would you want to hold your kids back? But you are by your example.
You are.
Not you, but other women. Who do you feel called now to help? I feel like this, at some point it changes from I need a little extra money to wow, this is going to be my career and my lifestyle to like a stage to fill our mission out, right? And so, for you, who does that look like when you think of that transformation?
I think anybody that comes into our space or they hear our story, that even if this is not for you, Mary Kay's not going to be the vehicle for you, that you just dream a little bit more. So just that if you're in my space, that you're going to leave better. I want to make a positive impact on people that I am around and use the story, right? The life experiences to say, hey, if you come from this, you can do it. The other powerful thing I like to tell women to make sure they know is that you have untapped gifts that you're not even aware of. And when you take a chance on yourself with something entrepreneur or doing Mary Kay, which I do believe Mary Kay is the best recipe for this because of the culture and the environment and our community. There is nothing like it. But that gives you a safe, positive place to learn and play and find out what's truly inside you. What is in there that you need to get out, right? Or unwrap these gifts that you have that are just sitting dormant because you're not getting pushed out of your comfort zone. And that first decision, it's going to be out of your comfort zone. If it were comfortable, right? Everybody would say yes to it, right? Like you are setting yourself apart by giving it and when you say those talents that you've uncovered, and we've heard some of them from you of even saying, I can speak, your speaking skills, right? Your ability, when she says, you guys, the gift of affirmation, I feel like it's almost something we can easily be like, cool. No. I have been a recipient. I have not only of receiving the affirmation, but also being at an event where she will, I will never forget this, in the kitchen in Murrieta at an event that we were at. And you came up to me and were like, let me teach you how to make sure that when you give an affirmation, it has nothing to do with you and you are pouring into that person so that they can feel it all about them. Like, who takes the time to think about those things and be so invested and be the reminder of like, Bree, we're going to this event. Make sure we write them a card and we leave them a beautiful gift and how they feel when they walk in the room. I mean, the gifts of how that is affecting so many people, right, is so powerful. So I mean, aside from the affirmation, which is huge, your speaking skills, time management, are there any other talents that you had no idea? I mean, going from breaking in colts, a whole horse, that's a talent. How to listen. Who did I have a problem with listening? How I had to learn like crowd control, or how to gracefully let somebody know, hey, this is about the hostess and you're going on about the drama. Like the communication skills, how to set boundaries, how to stand up for myself, how to articulate my own needs, how to cast a vision, I figured out how to work Zoom. Okay. I mean, some of the skills are I just was not wanting to adjust on technology, like learning that I'm worth bettering my life in these certain areas. So, and too, because I learned how to do skincare and I can do a color appointment because it comes down to having a growth mindset. And there's so many things. I mean, I should just try to make a list of all the things that I have learned, but it's really just having a growth mindset. That's the other thing. If you want to learn and better yourself, this is the environment, because we are teaching and training, and bounce back ability is another huge skill, which sometimes it's easy to see when you're teaching a kid how to ride a bike or they're struggling on a math problem and hey, get up and try again. But your own bounce back ability, when you've had a setback or somebody says something that's triggering, and to get back on and reset the goal and pick yourself up when you miss it and celebrate when you win it. But the bounce back ability is a lifelong lesson that you want to teach your family.
And again, people do this business for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so there's literally no downfall in the gifts or the talents that they're going to learn that can be taken into some other dream that they may have, or, for their life. Because just like you said, you didn't learn this in college. I didn't learn this in beauty school. These are like essential things that put you a step ahead of a lot of people who don't have those skills. And whether that's in family dynamics, a business, a job, whatever the case is. So for you, what cycle do you feel like you have broken or are continuing?
It's hard to put that into words, but I really just being present and available to my children in their childhood, to my husband in our home, is a presence. And not bringing in that it's amazing to have a home that feels like love and not dysfunction. I think dysfunction is a really common thing that is happening behind closed doors all the time. And I do want to tell women that you have the power to change it. It's going to take courage. It's going to take getting out of your comfort zone, but that you have the power to change dysfunction.
That's huge. And so, I mean, again, like we started this and in closing with it, it's amazing because, when we think about it, your dad is a still solid, person in your life. You have this amazing bonus mom, but your mom still is not in a healthy place. And you do have the 3 brothers. And so you are the first woman, of the children, the family of the next generation, to fully be like, we're going to do this different. And you could have joined the chaos. It could have made sense. You could have coped in different ways, but instead you channeled that energy into how am I going to create this to be something that helps other women have tools and talents and a place to live out loud, and also be the mom to my children that you never had. And that is so amazing. And you guys, to watch her behind the scenes as a mom, I am telling you, one of my best friends and I, we were taking notes on a trip of the things Maria does for her children, the present mom that she is, the loving, the patience, the fun, the way that you create moments and memories for these kids is beyond. I'm like, if you could have an award, it's like best mom of the decade award, because it's so amazing to watch. And so if there is a part of you that's like, I would be forsaking the mom I am to do something like this, just like Maria said, that is a bold lie. So thank you for being brave. Thank you for pouring into others. Thank you for sharing your story so vulnerably. And I think that so many people are going to connect with what you have to say. And so, if there's any last pieces, for you of anything that you'd maybe want to say to someone who's watching this, or someone who is feeling,
just turn on your activator power, just channel our activatorness, because really don't have to make it such a huge decision. Give it a try. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least give yourself a chance. And if throughout this time or other videos that you're watching, you just feel a connection, or there's something, just trust that feeling to say, hey, I'm going to give this a try and be part of it. Because if I had not, I trusted my intuition. And I wouldn't want to see the Maria that I would have been without the impact and influence of this company.
Well, thank you for sharing. I'm so excited that people are going to get to hear your story, and that we get to help, be the cycle changer for other women. So if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.